Hey, this is Trey and Lee.
With the Stronger Marriage Podcast. We're glad you joined us today.
Honored you're here. Thank you for always listening. The last podcast we did about 3 weeks ago called 5 Things Married Couples with Amazing Sex Lives Do blew up. It was a really good episode, obviously, because got a lot of hits and a lot of people listening. We always appreciate folks listening, and we like to cover topics that people are interested in.
Yeah, especially when it comes to sexual intimacy, finding some healthy marriage advice out there. I think couples are looking for that, so we try to not be embarrassed to talk about some of those things and to put that out there on our podcast.
There you go. So we're going to do another podcast today talking about healthy boundaries in marriage. We think every marriage should have some healthy boundaries. But we wanted to kind of let you know about some things coming up this summer that we're excited about on the podcast. That is, we're going to try and do 3 podcast episodes this summer. The normal ones we always do, but we're going to try to have a weekly Wednesday podcast that drops. It's going to be a 5-minute episode that challenges you with something in your marriage. So it'll be a little 5-minute quickie that we're going to zip in and you'll be able to pick up. And so these will be every week, and then every now and then you'll find a long episode, and then we'll go back to our 5 to get us through the summer with just some episodes on some marriage challenges and some things you can do in your marriage.
That's right. So that won't start till June because we are currently in the month of May in the middle of our Wisdom for Your Marriage Challenge in our Facebook group. If you're a part of that, you know what we're talking about. If you're not, jump in and join us.
Yep, we're going through a book together with, there's over 1,000 people in that group, and we're doing a book together, reading from the book of Proverbs every day, doing the book, and then posting a little info that we found. And if you're joining us on that, thank you for doing that. So today, let's talk a little bit about boundaries and why boundaries are so important. We have boundaries in everything that we do, but we really need boundaries in marriage that are very healthy for our marriage. We have swimming boundaries at pools. When we take our kids or grandkids to the pool, there's always a rope that says, don't go past here. That's a boundary to keep them safe. All boundaries are for safety. At baseball games, there's nets in certain places, or places they go, you can't go here because it's not safe. Fence boundaries, those all give us the idea that there's certain things we do to protect. That's what those boundaries do. Think about this. We lock our house. We lock our cars. You've got a passcode on your phone for protection. Those are all boundaries to keep you safe. And at the same time, we give our kids rules and boundaries on things like phones and internet to take care of them. Those are just smart things to do. And so we need things like that in our marriage as well.
That's right. You can talk about car seats and what a pain they are to have to take the time to put kids in car seats. But we do that because we love them. We want to keep them safe. It's for protection. And so that's why we have all these boundaries in our marriage, is to protect it. It's to keep our marriage safe from harm. So boundaries are the lock and key to every healthy marriage.
Yeah, so we want to share with you some of the boundaries in our marriages, or our marriage, and some of the boundaries we think are very healthy boundaries you need to have in your marriage. And so we'll go through these. Some may be more important to you than others. Hopefully we'll challenge you on some of these and see if there's some areas maybe where you need to have a little bit bigger boundaries in there. But let's start the first one with, there needs to be some boundaries in secrets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's really never a good reason to keep a secret from your spouse. We got to always say, unless of course it's, you're planning a surprise party, you've bought them a gift, you're trying to keep that a secret from them. That's totally fine, right? That's a whole different kind of secret. But you don't want to keep secrets as far as, your finances, your spending. That needs to be a mutual, open and honest area in your marriage. You don't need to ever keep secrets about where you are and who you're with.
Or who you've been with. Exactly. And where you've been and what you got going on.
Yeah, just don't keep secrets from your spouse. Marriage is about openness and honesty, and the healthiest marriages keep no secrets.
Yeah. At the same time, when we're talking about secrets, you don't keep secrets from your spouse, but you do keep secrets that are your spouse's secrets, meaning you don't go blab your secrets in your marriage to your family, to your friends, to whomever it is, your girlfriends, your buddies. You keep your spouse's secrets. And somebody made a comment on a post we did yesterday. I was talking about intimacy in marriage and how close and intimate people are, that you have your own little secrets in marriage. You're kind of like a club of two. And somebody said, I found out the hard way, you've got to be cautious with this because my spouse used a bunch of secrets against me. And I thought, that would be terrible.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that I'm in a marriage where I've never worried about my wife using secrets that I have against me to get me to do something or not do something that I want to do. It's one of those things, you keep your spouse's secrets, the things that you have going on in your marriage.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just even the everyday conversations. If I'm opening up to you and telling you something in confidence, I know you're not going to go blab it to everybody. That's what marriage is. I shouldn't have to say, now don't go tell anybody this, right? Marriage is it's a place where you can be yourself and you can share things that you need to share and know that it's going to stay right there in the walls of your home.
Yeah, that is true. So always have boundaries with secrets. Second thing that we thought of that was a good boundary is verbally protecting your spouse's back. So have a boundary with with protecting your spouse and verbally doing that, meaning having their back around children or family or friends, meaning if somebody says something that you're not going to put up with somebody talking down about your spouse or something along those lines.
Yeah. I mean, I know that when we were raising the boys, if they ever got a little snarky with mom, you were real quick to, put them in their place. Hey, we don't talk about mom that way. You always had my back when it came to parenting, with family and friends. That's important as well, because if somebody's talking negatively about your spouse or disrespecting your spouse, they're talking negatively about you.
That's right. And you can't, our rules always are, you can't like me and not like my spouse. You can't Lee says you can't like me and not like you can't invite me and not invite my husband because you don't like him. We're a team. You protect your spouse. And when it comes to being verbal, there may be times where somebody says something and you go, hey, that's a little critical of my spouse. And maybe you think maybe that should have been said. If you feel the need to be critical of your spouse, we want to remind you, always criticize in private, not in public. You praise in public and you criticize in private, meaning I'm not going to get on to my wife. She's not going to get on to me in front of our kids or in front of family. Those are not places for us to be critical of one another. We do that in private, and we, if anything, we praise in front of one another when we're around other people. So be very cautious about that.
Yeah. Next one, or you got more
Sure.
on that?
No, that'd be good.
We will circle back around to this a little bit. When we talk about in-laws, because we're gonna have boundaries with in-laws here in a minute. So we'll talk about protecting your spouse's back with in-laws later down the road.
Yeah.
So
parents and in-laws, both of them will fall in that category. So now here's a big one, and this is really important, and this is highly debatable, but have boundaries with friends of the opposite sex. And of course, we know, yes, you should have some boundaries with friends of the same sex too. But what we're saying is, don't have secret friendships. You shouldn't have friendship with someone of the opposite sex that your spouse doesn't know about. Y'all shouldn't have secret conversations that you would not be comfortable if your spouse heard you having those conversations. Mm-hmm. Don't have secret friendships. In fact, be very cautious with friendships of the opposite sex, period. In fact, the only people that I'm friends with of the opposite sex are the people that are Lee's friends as well, and vice versa. The same role reverses around to her as well.
Yeah, you may send a text message you think is totally innocent, and it, maybe it is totally innocent in the beginning, but those totally innocent text messages can lead to emotional affairs. It happens over and over and over. Actually, there's a statistic that says 93% of affairs begin with a simple friendship. And often it's a close friend. So
you've got to be careful with that.
Even with mutual, if you're both friends with that person, you've still got to be extremely cautious.
Let me throw something out here on that. Don't ever send a text message to someone that you wouldn't want your spouse to see or know about. Don't ever send a message on social media that you would go, ooh, I don't. If it's inappropriate, if it's something that you don't want your spouse to know about, then it's inappropriate and you shouldn't send that text message.
And if you need to send a message to that person for some reason, make it a group text. Go ahead and throw your spouse in there. And that way, you just avoid all of the temptations for anything else to come out of that.
One of the big red flags in this is if you find yourself hiding details of your communication or maybe time you've spent with someone that's not your spouse. If you're hiding things like that, those details from your spouse, that's a red flag. You've crossed the bound. You've crossed the boundaries, and you need to stop that. And so don't hide text messages. Don't keep friendships secret between the two of you.
Another one is locking your spouse out of your phone. That's a big no-no. We know each other's passwords. If my phone is sitting out, he is more than welcome to pick it up and use it for whatever he needs. And I'm not going to be worried about anything he might see on there. So don't, if you're locking your spouse out of your phone, that's a red flag.
So in my books it is, because I'm thinking you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, because why would you care about locking your spouse out of your phone? Yes. Another one is and we're still talking about boundaries of the opposite sex, but don't be friends with anyone that your spouse is uncomfortable with. And that means sometimes your spouse may be able to see something you don't. And if they say, I'm a little uncomfortable with this friendship, you listen to them. The worst thing you can do is go, you're making a big deal out of this, or, hey, we're just friends. But we could be talking about an old ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. We could just be talking about, somebody you dated, maybe your ex period, an ex-wife or an ex-husband. But if there's somebody that your spouse is uncomfortable with, listen to what they're saying. That is a very healthy thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes your spouse can see things that you just can't. So
there's accountability in that.
Yeah, there is. So the next one is boundaries with social media.
Yeah, and that's important too. Now, we talk kind of cell phones there, but let's talk a few things about social media as well. And this could be Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and we're kind of, honestly, we're on all of these things. You can use these things for good. You can use these things for bad. But there ought to be some rules on how to handle social media and boundaries in your marriage. The first thing would be, don't spend more time on social media or on your phone than you should. And the first thing that somebody asks is, how much time is too much time? Well, that's gonna be a question with your spouse. Am I spending too much time? But too much time is this. If you're coming home from work, or your spouse is coming home and you have not seen each other, y'all been gone all day long, and y'all are looking at your phones while you're sitting on the couch instead of talking to each other, then that's probably too much time. At least it's the wrong time.
Yeah.
If you're climbing in bed together at night.
Yeah. I mean, we do that after we've had dinner together. We've spent time visiting with each other all evening. We've gone for a walk, maybe sometimes for an hour. We've spent a lot of time together in the evening. And so sometimes when we climb in bed for, a few minutes, we'll look at reels and catch up on notifications and whatever. And then it's like, okay, let's put the phones away, or,
Yeah, because bedtime's a healthy time to pray together and spend some time together. And yes, you can use there are times where I ask Lee, have you not seen that reel that I've sent you? Because I've seen it and I'm thinking it was so good, and she hadn't looked at it. And so I'm wanting her to open her phone and look at it.
It's probably a good idea to set a timer. If you're both like, hey, I want to look at my phone for a few minutes. Set a timer. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
However long y'all agree, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and it'll go by fast, because it does.
Yeah. But you can waste a lot of time on there.
Set a timer so that you're not one of you is going, well, I give up. He's not ever going to, close his phone, or she's not ever going to be through looking at reels. So set a timer so the time doesn't get away from you.
Second one on here is, don't hide things from your spouse on social media. And we specifically said that with your phone, and all I want to do is just mention same rule for social media. We don't hide things from one another on ours. We share. She's welcome to look at anything on my social media that she wants to.
Yeah.
and following in that, we actually share our passwords.
Yes, on every social media platform.
Lee's got access to all my passwords. We keep them in a note on our phone, locked, and Lee's got access and I got access, and we share it. So if she wants to sign in as me on Instagram and look at I don't care. It doesn't bother me a drop. And so, yeah, it's just healthy. Share those passwords with your spouse. It just shows I've got nothing to hide. Same true. We mentioned this earlier, but we'll say it also on social media. Don't befriend anyone of the opposite sex or any sex that your spouse is uncomfortable with. Or let's talk Instagram for a second. Don't follow someone your spouse is uncomfortable with. Meaning, if I was following on social media female fitness models that didn't wear a lot of clothes, that kind of bothered me. That bothered Lee. And if Lee was following a bunch of guys that were the same, it would probably bother me a little bit too. So if you're uncomfortable, just think about who you follow and don't follow. And if your spouse is uncomfortable with it, then, Facebook's not the place to look up your old boyfriend, girlfriend, that sort of thing.
Right. Unfriend anyone who crosses normal boundaries. If they're sending you, somebody starts sending you messages, private messages, wanting you to just chat with them, listen to that little voice in your head that says, hey, this is weird. That's kind of I think they're crossing a boundary here, and maybe I just need to block this person.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, and I've had that conversation on social media sites of hey, I'm not here to visit in DMs and get to know you better. That's just not healthy. If you can't say it on my Facebook page or whatever it is that we're on, then just be cautious about that. We love watching people post pictures of you and your spouse on social media, meaning I think personally you ought to be able to go to your site and see that you're a married person. If you are married, that you can look and go, either they have a profile picture that's together of him and her, or maybe you've posted a picture of you and your spouse here recently. But if you spend a lot of time searching through your social media page and you can't find any evidence that you are married, then you may not be doing something right. Post some pictures. I think that's a great way to let folks know I am married.
Yeah, and I think probably 95% of our profile pictures on any social media platform is the two of us together.
Yeah,
you and I both do that.
Now we have our separate accounts, meaning she has hers, I have mine, but we have our one another's picture in there.
Yeah.
Another one.
Don't be afraid to proclaim your love for your spouse on social media. So this is, just saying really nice, flowery things about your spouse, how awesome they are, so that everybody else can read that, and nobody's gonna wonder, hey, I wonder if they really like their spouse. There's going to be no doubt in anybody's mind if you're, saying really nice things about your spouse on your social media.
Yeah, that is true. Another rule for social media: don't use your status or even a comment to complain about your spouse. Somebody makes a post about flowers, and don't write on there, my husband never sends me flowers. Don't throw negative comments out on social media about your spouse.
And I've had people that their spouse isn't on social media, and so they think, hey, I can just blast all I want to, and they'll never know. It's like, no, why would you even want to do that?
Yeah. Don't use your status or social media to complain about things.
Yeah. That
and then
doesn't
always
make anything better.
Yeah. Lastly, on the social media part is always think before you type or even like something on social media, Instagram, meaning make sure a comment you post doesn't come across as flirty or suggestive. Don't like a picture of someone that is maybe dressed with inappropriate. I'm just trying to come up with this off the top of my head. I would not like a picture of a woman in a bikini that is not my wife, because I don't want people to look at that and go, well, obviously Trey thinks this woman looks really, really nice or something. So yeah, don't do stuff like that. That just makes sense. So be cautious. Have some boundaries on your social media that you need to have.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move on to number 5, which is boundaries with communication. So The first thing we want to talk about here is fighting fair. You know, we all have disagreements. They're going to happen, even in the best of marriages. But we have to learn how to fight fair. So,
yeah, focus on the specific problem. Remind yourself you're on the same team. My job is not to win the argument, but to figure out how can we get this settled? How can we figure out how to make this work? Always be respectful. And that's hard. There's been times in our past where we haven't done very well at this. We got snarky with one another, but no matter how much it hurts, I'm going to be respectful to my spouse and not be unkind. Always treat your spouse with respect, even during disagreements. There should never be a time for name calling, derogatory remarks. These are things that can really damage both your trust and your intimacy in your marriage.
Yeah. And stick to the issue that you're actually talking about. Don't start bringing up stuff from the past. Did you say that already?
No, but that's a really good point.
Yeah, Well,
you remember back in 1990, you did this.
Well, you always and you never, those are always the things that you don't want to say. So yeah, just remember that you're on the same team. Avoid any regretful words. Don't say anything during an argument that you're going to regret later. Sometimes when we're angry, we can let hurtful words slip out. And that's, it's really hard to take words back once they're said.
Yeah.
Even if you just really think, man, I really didn't mean that. I didn't want to hurt them, but I was just angry at the time. You can't take it back. They were said. And so watch your anger, watch your tone of voice even.
You can even say, would you forgive me? And they say, yes, I forgive you for what you said. But they still remember.
They're not.
It's still there.
It. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean they're holding it against you, but it's hard to forget something when somebody has really, really said something very mean or derogatory. Mm-hmm. So just remember that. Watch your tone and remember the goal is resolution, not victory. How can we fix this?
Yeah.
So another boundary in our marriage that I think every marriage needs is boundaries when it comes to time and priorities. Mm-hmm. That means we need to make time together and be intentional with that. Meaning, just like you set aside time for a kid's games at soccer or whatever it is, you need to make sure, have I spent time with my spouse this week? Have I spent time talking to my spouse today? And then guard that time, because if you're not careful, you'll look and you'll go, we have one night this week that's free, and you're sitting there going, well, that can be some time that my wife or my husband and I can spend some time together. And the first time something comes up, you go, well, I guess we're not doing anything on Thursday night. That's our only free night. And then there goes your time with your spouse. Guard that. Mm-hmm. Guard that. That's really important.
Yeah, and prioritize date nights. You hear us talk about this all the time, and we'll continue to, because it's just important to spend time together. Doesn't have to be a fancy date. It just means spend some time together. If you need to go grocery shopping, make it a date. Do it together. But just make time together, guard it, and spend some time doing some fun stuff together.
So we have been doing date nights, and I've loved it. We don't have the next one planned. We need to put it on the calendar. We've been looking at our calendar and looking ahead and going, in about 2 weeks on a Thursday evening, we don't have anything, and we write date night on it, and we'll just guard that day. And then I've been planning a date, and then Lee's been planning a date, which I think's fun. And what I've been trying to do is, when it's my turn to pick the date night, I try to pick something that I think she would enjoy. So one day we went and got coffee and went to thrift stores and antique stores and kind of did some things. I thought, that's Lee's thing. She would love to do that.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, even though it wasn't my thing. Getting to look at old stuff that reminded me of my childhood was fun.
Still had fun. And so then when it was my turn to plan the date, I dressed up for him, which he likes, wore a dress and some heels, and we went and had some steak. So, how can,
How do you not love a wife in dress and heels and meat eating steak out?
Yeah.
That is pretty delish. And so she spoke all of my love languages on that night, and I'm ready to have that date night again. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And so here in a couple of weeks, we're going to do it again, and we'll find something fun to do together. And so protect that time. Find time to spend time with your family. So
don't let television be a thief when it comes to time together, time with your family. Sit down at the dinner table together. But yeah, just have some boundaries with your time.
let's talk about this last one. We'll end with this one. Let's talk about some boundaries with both your family and your in-laws.
Okay.
So this would be as if your parents are still alive, or your spouse's parents. I want to remind you that when you got married, the Bible talks about in Genesis 2, verse 24, for this reason a man shall leave his mother and father and be united with their wife. You create a new family. And when you are married, your new family trumps your old family, meaning it should get priority. It doesn't mean you're neglecting your old family. It doesn't mean you don't see your old family. It just means the new family has priority. And whether you're the kid, or what I'm trying to say is, you may be the in-laws. We're both parents and in-laws, and we both have parents that are still alive as well. So we kind of fall in the sandwich generation here. But that means handle things well when it comes time to splitting things with family and with parents or in-laws.
Yeah. Excuse me. Figure out holidays up front if you can. Try to figure out, okay, we had Christmas with your family last year, so we're going to do Christmas with my family this year. Let's, talk about this ahead of time. Have a plan in place.
Yeah. And then swap them out, and that works well for us.
Make sure it's fair for everybody.
Don't be those in-laws. Don't be those parents that make your kids feel guilty because it's the year that they're supposed to spend not with you. Mm-hmm. Don't be that. Don't be those parents that go, oh, hell, I guess you're going to somebody else's house this year. Yeah. Don't be they're going to not want to spend time with you if you're going to be those parents.
Yeah. Don't guilt your children.
And don't be the in-laws or the parents that go, sorry, Christmas is so special to us, and you've got to do it with us every year. Mm-hmm. Again, you're going to be the parents that you're going, why do my kids never come to see me?
Yes. And if your children choose to do Christmas on their own and not go anywhere, that's their choice. And you don't need to pout. You don't need to make them feel guilty.
That's right.
Maybe you can figure out a different time other than Christmas Day to spend with them. And, just there's got to be compromise when it comes to family and in-laws. I think it's all about compromise.
Yeah. We're speaking to those who have kids that are married at this time. If your parents, or if you've got son-in-law or daughter-in-law, make requests and not demands. Mm-hmm. Don't say, this is what we're doing. You say things like, would it be okay? Or, for example, this past Sunday was Mother's Day, and Lee said, hey, to a couple of daughter-in-laws, hey, y'all are more than welcome to, y'all want to spend Mother's Day with your mamas, y'all do that. Y'all are not obligated. We're going to go eat, and y'all come eat with us if you want to. But if you want to go spend time with your moms, more power to you. You're not going to hurt our feelings at all.
Exactly.
And so don't be the ones that make requests or demands. Just be cautious about that. Also, can we just say real quick about parents? You're past, if your kids are married, you're past the point of getting to tell your kids what they should do. Now, you can make recommendations. You can make some little suggestions.
Keep those to a minimum unless they ask
That's
you for
exactly
it.
right. Don't do that very often, because if you're telling your kids how to raise their kids, your grandkids, and if you're always telling your kids how they should be doing everything, you're going to look up and kind of go, I don't know why my kids don't want to spend time with me. They are flying on their own, and you can be a mentor in their world, but you no longer have the ability, the right to say, this is how you should be doing it. Because if you want to spend time with your grandkids, that is. When your kids get married, you decide in advance that you're going to be the most drama-free, loving, supportive in-laws on the planet. And you will bless your kids' marriage if they feel that way.
Yeah. Agree. Yeah. Did we cover everything?
I think we did. Wow, that was a quick stop there.
Okay.
So just do a good job on that last one at having some boundaries in your family and with your in-laws and everything else. We're not telling you to ignore them. We're
pop-ins. We didn't talk about pop-ins.
We didn't talk about pop-ins.
Be careful with pop-ins.
Yeah, what does that mean?
If you're the grandparents and you're wanting to see your grandkids, don't pop in. Just
tell them you're coming.
Say, hey, is we'd like to come by in 15 minutes. We're out running errands. Can we just come by and, and just see the kids for 30 minutes or something? If they say this is a great time, awesome. If they say, well, we just sat down to dinner, this really isn't the best time, then respect that.
Yeah.
And say, okay, we'll catch you another time.
Yeah. Even our kids are good at that. Our kids don't just show up at our house. They usually call and go, hey, can we stop by? Which is, if they don't, we may not be there anyway. But
right.
So it's really good. Don't be the people that just pop in and stay for hours.
Yeah. Just a quick heads up is always a good idea.
Boundaries are healthy in your marriage. Have some. They will protect you. Your marriage is, outside of your relationship with God, is probably the most important thing that you have. More important than your home, your jobs, everything. Protect that marriage with everything you've got. Satan would love to rip it apart. If you're not intentional with it, and if you do not spend time nurturing it and valuing it, it's gonna get worse. And so, best thing you can do is just build it up, make it special, and it becomes more valuable all the time.
That's right. Thank y'all for joining us today. Thanks for being patient with my scratchy voice. My allergies are on high alert.
We talked about waiting until tomorrow to do it, but she wasn't even sure she would have a voice tomorrow, so we did it today. Thank y'all for listening. Y'all have a blessed day.